of glory, full of glory, full of glory. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory. All that I have has never yet been told. Last verse. I have found the joy no tongue can tell, how its waves of glory roll. It is like a great o'erflowing well springing up within my soul. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory, full of glory, full of glory. It is joy unspeakable and full of glory. All that I have has never yet been told. Thank you. Have a seat. Let me go through the couple of prayer requests that I know about, okay? Pray for Tammy's uncle Hubert, who's in the hospital in ICU right now, and they don't expect him to last very long. Just pray for that family, comfort for the family, and the lost of the family to be saved. I'm not sure how many of his children, grandchildren are saved or lost. Pray for that family. Uh, Pray for Bruce and Patty. Patty, my understanding, has finished her last radiation treatment was today, if I remember right. And so, but she's not here tonight. But just pray for the outcome of that. Pray for her and Bruce both. Pray for Bruce for God to ease his pain because of all the cancer is really hard on. Both of them have cancer and it's hard on both of them physically. So just pray for both of them. We have 5 teachers that are not here tonight. Of the 9 teachers that we have on Wednesday night, 5 are not here. Sue had surgery on her hand and is not doing well with her hair. It's not recovering as fast as they thought. Mark said she should be pitching by now, I think, but she's not pitching yet. And she's still in a lot of pain, and the pain should be subsiding by now. She doesn't want to take the medication. She doesn't want to get the pain kills, the heavy duty pain kills. She doesn't want to take the pain pills that she doesn't want to get addicted to. So she's not taking those. Michelle's not here because her stepdad, cut his fingers off with a new piece of ditch digging equipment today. I'm not sure how many fingers, but it was plural. Okay, so he's in the emergency. Michelle's up the emergency room with them. Okay. Mark had to work. What are the teachers are not here? Patty. More than that. I said 5. Let's see. Joey's sick. Mark's working. Patty's sick. Well, with the treatments. Michelle's at the emergency room. And Sue's surgery. Okay, on hand. So pray for all those people and pray for the ones that are teaching tonight who don't normally teach, that everything goes smoothly with them and that the passes go well. Okay? And so that's why the last 2 teenagers are in here tonight, because the rest of them ride with Joey most often. So, all right. Anybody else have a prayer request? Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have a prayer request? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? There's a lot going on. Okay. I wonder why the back door wasn't locked. I locked that there. He always locks it. Okay. Anybody else? your time. Okay. So, anybody else? Something you want to pray about? When everyone else pray with you? Anybody have a prayer request, something you want to pray about, not to mention out loud, it's unspoken request, something you want to pray about, not to mention, say, I want to pray for this, but I don't want to tell everyone what it is. All right, anybody else? All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for your love and mercy and your goodness to us. I pray you bless each one of these requests. A lot of deaths this week. Several that have lost a loved one, and family members. I pray you'll comfort those. Some were expected and some unexpected. I pray that you'll comfort those families. I pray that you'll comfort the families whose loved one is going to pass. And I pray that you'll work in those hearts and give them comfort. I pray for those who've had surgery, that you'll give them healing and quick recovery. I pray for those who are going through treatments of cancer and all the other illnesses of life, the battles that we face physically. And I pray you'll give healing where it's needed and grace where the healing's not going to come. I thank you for your love and mercy. Thank you, Jesus, for dying on the cross for us and your goodness to us. Thank you for your word, that we can gather your word and stay together. I pray that each one of us will grow in Christ. I pray you bless in all of our classes tonight. And we have visitors with us tonight in our kids' classes. I pray for the visitors that are with us tonight, any lost people with us tonight that we'll see them saved. I pray you'll use our church family as a light in the community, a witness to those around us. I pray you bless this week, and in all we do, we want to be a witness, whether it's Thursday night for visitation or Friday night at the parade and the ball field. I pray you'll use us as a light and to poke holes in the darkness of this world. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Okay, a couple announcements. Next Thursday, that's not tomorrow, it's next Thursday, October 3rd, we're going to Cass Railroad. Those of you who plan on going, we'll meet at the church at 6:30 a.m. and try to travel together as much as we can. We will drive the speed limit. Right, Tracy? We will drive the speed limit and not exceed. That's not funny. That's why we're leaving at 6:30 in the morning, because we're going to go to the speed limit. If everyone's going to just follow me, whatever speed whatever fastest existing conditions allow, is the term I like to use, then we would leave at 7:30 and still get there by, but we'll leave at 6:30 and go slow and wait on everybody else. I know, without getting a ticket, but the speed limit is 70, and we will not. I've got a good friend, and we're not. No, these young men haven't learned how to. They don't know that yet, so we're not going to tell them that. Okay. That is next Thursday, and on Friday, October 5th, that following Friday, Saturday, October 5th, Robin Traber invited us to the farm. The church family was invited to the Robin Traber farm for fun, food, and fellowship from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you can't get there by 10 o'clock, then come out later during the day. We'll stay till about 3 o'clock, and we'll have a lot of fun together as a church family. Everybody likes going out there. Okay, this Friday night is the ball game, the parade. Originally it was announced that we're supposed to be there at 4 o'clock at the school, but I think the truck and trailer has to be there like at 4 o'clock so they can line everybody up, or earlier in the day. So those of you who are going to be on the float, we have T-shirts for everybody that's going to be on the float. If they'll be here at the church at 5 o'clock, the parade doesn't start till 6 o'clock, but I'm not sure what the traffic's going to be like from here to the Mormon church. So we'll be here at the church. We'll ride in the van. We'll take the van down and drop everybody off. And then when the parade ends, it ends at the middle school. That's right, Brian, is that right? It ends at the middle school? Okay, then we will have another van sitting there at the middle school to bring everybody back up as well. Okay? So we'll have 2 vans. We'll work out that way. Yes, sir. You will be marching with ROTC. That's very good. Yeah, I know you are. That's very good. I'm glad I know everything. Then you should know that by now, right? Okay. Right? Like, what's the square root of 836? You're supposed to know everything. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Any questions on the activities that are coming up? The trip to Robin Traver's Farm is going to be a lot of fun. The Cass Inc. Railroad, those of you who are going on that trip, is going to be a lot of fun. And the parade's going to be fun. we were not planning on running the van to pick up kids to put them on the parade, but every person that rides on the float has to sign a waiver. They're back here in the office. Has to sign a waiver. It's a liability release form, what it is, because it's Brian's truck and Brian's trailer, and if someone falls off and breaks their arm, we don't want a lawsuit saying, Brian doesn't need a lawsuit, church doesn't need a lawsuit because someone fell off and broke their arm. Okay, any questions on that? So if someone else wants to come, then come. And someone asks, "Are we going to run the van and pick up all the kids?" No, because some of those kids will push somebody off the trailer, and so we don't want that liability with that part of it. If they come, they're welcome to come. If they're here, they're welcome to ride on the float. But other than that, we're not going to run and go pick them up. Okay? Any questions on any of that stuff? Going once, going twice. Even if you got testimony, God's blessed you some certain way, you want to tell everybody how good He's been to you. Going once, going twice. Some people, I remember when Tammy and I got saved, we were 17 years old. We went to Canaan Baptist Church. And every Wednesday night, they would have a devotional part, just about probably 3 minutes to 5 minutes of a devotional part. Someone would read a scripture and would sing a song. And they didn't make announcements or anything. And then they asked for testimonies. And every adult in that auditorium would stand up and testify how God has been good to them. Almost every Wednesday night, everybody had something that God has blessed them with, blessed their family with. Now I'll tell you this, because people that I know in the community or at work that I've witnessed through the years before they got saved or try to get back in church when they're out of church and different things. There's a couple. I remember specifically in his business in Sissonville, I remember sitting in his office talking to him several years ago, 6-8 years ago, before he got saved, maybe 10 years ago, before he got saved, and he was just teared up, and he knew he needed to get saved, but he wasn't not ready. You ever say that before? You say, "I'm not ready." Okay, okay. So a couple months after that, he got saved. Doesn't come to church here, go somewhere else. I just rejoice in the fact that he got saved, right? So they went to church for a long time. A couple things happened, and they kind of got busy and got out of church. So for about 2 years, every time I'd see him, I'd say, "Are you going?" "No, we haven't been since, we went to Easter or whatever." And so they had been. So I kept encouraging them. Every time I saw them, I just, trying to get, I didn't care if they came here or back at the other church where they were going. Okay. And so I saw them today. In December, last December, they got back in church, which I knew this because he's already told me this a couple of times in the last 6 months. So they got back in church, and she was telling me today, she said, "God has done so many great things for us since we got back in. We didn't realize what we were missing out." They were saved and in church, but they got busy and got out, okay, or they got offended by somebody, or whatever the story was, and they got out for a couple of years, and now after being back in for 8 or 9 months, she is saying, "God has blessed, and God has blessed, and God has blessed," and they're expecting a baby, and things are going well, and I'm just really happy for them. I mean, and things that they wouldn't. Above and beyond, Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Calling me and I will answer thee and show thee great and mighty things that thou knowest not." Above and beyond the things they've asked for, God has given them and blessed them. And she says, "Just amazing to me, God has blessed us since we got back in." And I said, "Yeah, the preacher side of me wants to say, yeah, you missed out on those blessings for about 2 years. But the other side of me says, I'm so glad, like the prodigal son coming home, right? I am so glad that you're back in. I rejoice with the prodigal son who never leaves." He had 2 sons, right? The prodigal had 2 sons. One of them went off on his own and wasted his living, ended up in a hog pen, but eventually came to himself, Scripture says, and came back home. And the other one stayed home, okay? And I rejoice with both. I rejoice with those who go away and those who stay, either one. Okay, those who go away and then come back, I rejoice with the prodigal son who's returned. And I can rejoice with the other ones who is not. So that's my testimony. That's not the lesson for tonight. Anybody else have a testimony? Did all in one breath. Get excited. Sorry. Get excited. All right, 2 Kings chapter 4. 2 Kings chapter 4. Let me move around a little bit so I can finish now. If you have questions or comments during the lesson, fire away with the questions, okay? Kind of a simple story, tremendous story, but it was 2 Kings chapter 1. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. What do you find it? Everybody got it? Okay, here we go. 2 Kings. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets of Elisha, saying, Thy servant, my husband, is dead. And thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditors come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in thine house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house save a pot of oil. Okay? What's he doing? Okay, here's the story. Here's a lady, widow woman, comes to Elisha. And she said, my husband died. You knew my husband. He's a godly man, a servant of God. He did everything he's supposed to do. But we owed a debt. And the creditors come and wants to take my 2 sons to be bondmen. That's why I wanted him to be back in here, because I'm going to use you guys as slaves. Okay? Okay? How many think, regardless of what we hear of American history today, how many think slavery is bad? Anybody think it's bad? One person raised their hand. How many think it's really, really bad? How many think it's really, really bad owning people? How many think the first time it ever happened was America? Christopher Columbus brought them over. Okay? Anybody think it happened that way? That's the first time slavery happened? You know, slavery has happened since day one. Okay? The first man born killed his own little brother, right? So, and slavery a lot of times was used as a trading thing. And in these days, to pay off a debt. Okay? The Jewish people were allowed to buy and own slaves, but they were not allowed to buy other Jewish people. Okay? Well, Brother John, doesn't that make them cruel? If you bought a workhorse, would you take care of that workhorse or would you beat it? Now we've heard the term beat. Someone was beaten like a rented mule, right? So if it's not your mule, you may beat the thing just to get it to move. But if it's your mule, you're going to coax him into going, right? You're going to do everything you can. How are you going to leave your if you have a brand new piece of equipment, how are you going to leave it out in the rain? Anybody? Brand new chainsaw, weed eater, you're going to leave it out in the rain all the time? Okay? No one's going to do that because you invested that thing. I don't think, for the most part, slavery, going back to these days, for the most part, slavery was, I own that person that never worked for me. I bought them. It's an investment. Okay? I'm not going to mistreat them or abuse them. I heard this statistic years and years ago, about 25 years ago, probably it may not be correct because revisionist history, but the average slave owner in America only had 3 slaves. He worked as hard as the slaves did because it was really just hired help. They ate what he ate. They lived where he lived, not in the same house, but they had for the average slave, not the plantation owners down in Georgia and South Carolina, but the average slave owner in America had 3 slaves. Now, okay, in this story, the widow woman come to Elisha and said, I lost my husband. We owed a debt. And the creditor says he's going to take my 2 boys to be bondmen, to be slaves. Okay? Under the Old Testament law, which they lived under, it was legal for that creditor to come and say, I need you 2 boys to come, you're mine. Okay? Your dad owed me X amount of money, you will come work for me. Also under their law, if it's Jewish working with Jewish, Hebrew with Hebrew, under that law, you could only hire them out for 7 years. How old are you? 13? Okay, 13. So if Rob owed a debt and couldn't pay the debt, they owed me the money, and I could say, or I could go to the bank and pay off his debt for him, and I could say, but I'm going to trade him off because I'm going to have him come work for me for 7 years. Okay? How many think that's a good idea? How many of your ancestors came over from England on a contract to say that you're going to work for somebody for the same length of time? You just got sold into slavery. You didn't know it. Okay? Thank you very much. We'll get change for you after a while. Okay? Okay. It happened coming to America too, because some people would come over as bond servants for somebody else. I'm going to work for this guy for 3 years or 7 years. Most often in America didn't exceed 7 years either. And I'm going to work for this guy for 3 years or for 7 years, and I get my liberty. Okay? And Old Testament law, there's chapters of what you're supposed to do with the slave, what you can do, what you can't do. You wouldn't mistreat him. And if you hurt him in some way, or he lost a hand or something like that, you can let him go because you got injured on the job, just like workers' compensation thing. You know, if he got injured on the job, you could let him go because he lost an eye or hand. Old Testament law, God was really gracious towards the slaves of the servants. Also, when God gave them the Sabbath day, because the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, the Old Testament law and New Testament. He said when God gave man the Sabbath day, the seventh day you're supposed to rest. The reason for it is I don't want you to work your ox to death. I don't want you to work your servant to death. So if you're working him 6 days a week, I want him to have the seventh day off too. Okay? He needs that day of rest, just like you need that day of rest. You can't work him 7 days a week. Okay? So this woman comes and she says, Elisha, my 2 boys are going to be taken as servants. Okay? And there's nothing I can do. I can't pay that debt in any other way. He said, you have anything in the house? She said, I don't have anything. I got 1 pot of oil, like olive oil. Okay? I have 1 pot of oil. That is all that I have. So Elisha said, send your boys out to all the neighbors and gather every vessel, empty vessel that they can find. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's great big tall vessels or a little canteen, a little cup. It doesn't matter what it is. Most people, most of those, like we had Tupperware, we got plastic, we throw everything away. They reused everything over and over. You know, if you made a vase out of something, or if you had a wash pot thing, or if you had a container with the lid on it to keep the mice out of it, you kept that container. You never threw that thing away. Like a big pot thing, big pot. And so he said, go fill them up, go get as many as you can find. So the boys went out throughout the whole neighborhood and gathered every pot that they could find and brought it back to the house. And Elisha told the mom what you're supposed to do. Shut the door so nobody knows what you're doing. You take that 1 pot of oil that you have, and you fill every pot. That oil will not run out. So if this is a 1-gallon pot, she has a 5-gallon pot, when she starts pouring, it's going to fill it up to the brim. And she'll go to the next 5-gallon pot, it's going to fill it up to the end. She goes to the 1-gallon pot, fills it up to the brim. Now that 1 pot of oil that she has, it's a miracle. God is using Elisha to help meet the needs of these people. The next thing's a quart jar, the next thing's a 5-gallon jug, whatever it was. Next thing's a moonshine jug, but clean that one out before you use it, okay? Because your oil will go bad. Okay, once you have every pot filled, then you have the boys go out and sell it, okay? And you sell that oil. Let's read. Just a couple 5 verses. Okay, verse 3. We'll start there. Read the story I just told you. Then he said, go borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. Get a bunch. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her. She poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, there is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go sell the oil and pay the debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. So you will get your debt paid off, and all your expenses are going to be made because you've just sold enough oil to pay the debt that you all owe, and then everything you're going to need from now on. Okay, and it's not like winning the lottery that you're going to live a life of luxury. You're going to farm or do whatever you do as a regular basis, but you don't have to worry about that debt anymore. Okay. He asked her, what do you have in your house? Let me ask you a question. Is there something that you absolutely positively need that you don't have? Is there anything you know you need something you don't have? Is there anything in your life right now that you say, I need this, and I don't have it? I know we go through things in life where we say, I need a new car, so we go buy a new car, or if we can't buy a new car, then we'll get the other one fixed, and that's why there's 15 car shops in Sissonville working on cars, because we can't go buy a new one every time something breaks. Okay? Has there ever been a need, first of all, that God couldn't meet? No. He's always met the need. Has he ever performed a miracle for you? There's no way this need's going to be met unless God does something. Okay? Give you an illustration. Several years ago, I don't know why we went to this house. I think someone told us to. I think the lady had visited this house, filled out a visitor's card, and we went there one week and nobody was there. We went back the following week and the lady was home. Okay, here in Sissonville, and I'm reminded of this story because I saw this lady today when I was driving home from work. We went to this house. Me and Mark Schaefer, I think, who was going down visitation, and she said, Let me tell you, she'd recently gotten saved just a couple weeks before. Okay, she may have got saved here, but she just hadn't been saved very long. She said, "Let me tell you this story. My father was sick in a distant state." She said, "I didn't have enough money to travel out there. I had some money for gas, but not sure that I had enough money to get all the way out to where he was. And I didn't have anybody that I could borrow cash from." And she said, "So I had enough gas to get started." And she said, "I pulled up to a gas station about halfway out, and I forget where she was going. She was going to Wyoming or someplace. It's several hundred miles away." And she said, "I pulled up to the gas station, and someone walked out of the gas station. They said, 'We've been waiting for you to get here.'" She said, "You don't know who I am." She said, "The gas is on us." Someone filled up her tank and bought her coffee and did everything else, got her everything, get her back on the road. And she gave us this story. She said it happened more than once on this trip that she was on. Okay? Brother John, that's a fable someone made up. No, this is a story of a lady who told us, I'm sure it was me, Mark Schaefer, visiting in the house. And she said, "I got out there, of course, once I got out there, I had family, had enough money to get back home." She said, but all my needs were met. People, strangers, when I pull up the gas station, say, "Taken care of." Okay? Two things. One, there's no need that you have God doesn't fill. Right? Second thing, whenever the oil is mentioned in the Old Testament and New Testament, God's scriptures, the oil often represents the Holy Spirit. Okay? Flowing through us to other people. What if there's a time when you're sick? Martha, when you pull up a gas station, and someone pulled up on the other pump on the other side, and as you're pumping your gas, something tugs on your heart and says, "Pay for their gas." Do it. You ever have something where you think, I don't know why I'm doing this, but you need something. Okay? And it's just a tug on your heart says, "Well, John, that's just in your emotions are stirred." I'm not talking about somebody you know. I'm talking about some stranger. You're sitting there, they need something. Okay? I can tell you how many people I've personally, I say, "How can I help you? I don't know what you're looking for." Okay? I was getting gas. Stopping on last year, Christmas time. I was stopped to get gas. I was working in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. My last stop was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Had to drive home. By the time I was got to Virginia, it was dark. And I pulled up at the gas station, and there was one lady working at the gas station. I've got gas on this side, and she came out the door, and another guy was getting gas, and she was just like wore out because it was a blizzard. I was like driving the truck trying to get home. So when I get through the blizzard, it's not supposed to be snowing by the time I get to Beckley, but usually it is. So I just want to get home. And this other guy was there, and I was there, and this lady just looked frazzled. Okay? I said, "What do you need?" He seemed like a decent guy, just standing there beside me, pumping gas in his car. And I said, "We'll stay." She said, "Can you just stand here for a minute?" I said, "Yeah." We stood. She's just staying here. Nothing's going to happen. Like she just needed somebody to stand there for a few minutes because a hectic blizzard day. She got called into work or whatever. Different things. And she just told me and this guy, strangers, telling us his story. Okay, and someone pulled up on the pumps on the other side, and I said, "Someone's on the other side of the building." And I opened the door and said, "Can y'all wait? You're not going to steal anything. I'll run you down." Why? So if your heart starts pounding, this is the oil. This is the Holy Spirit saying, "Help that person." Okay, because God has an endless supply. He pours into you, and then you pour into other people. Okay, that's part of this story, right? The Holy Spirit, it's like these lights run through conduit, the metal part that the wires go through. We're supposed to be a conduit that never runs out. Okay. That's why if you find a Christian who's always the same, because they always invest in other people, always doing, they never run out. Because if they take their vessel and they pour it out into somebody else, before they set it up right again, it's full. Okay? And you look at people that hold on to their vessel and say, "I'm not going to invest in anybody else the rest of my life. I'm not going to do anything for anybody else." You know what that does? The oil gets old. Okay? The Holy Spirit doesn't change. But they're not used to investing in anybody, so they don't get anything out of it. We had this conversation with someone that just last week here in church. They asked a question about teaching kids to work. Okay? Since these two are in here tonight, if these two will learn that everything that's given to them is supposed to be poured out into other people, then nobody is happy as adults, right? Because everything they do will end up going to somebody else, and God fills them up again. Okay. I think our finances are that way. If you hoard your money, okay, we don't have any. Not telling me I don't have any money. Okay. Some people hoard their money, and you're supposed to save, and you're supposed to save up for your children, grandchildren, whatever. You're supposed to do that. But people hoard their money. Some of the most miserable people I know have lots of it. Okay. And they've never given or done or invested in other people. Some of these are Christian people. It's all mine. What I got. Okay, that's fine. You enjoy it to yourself. Most often though, you won't enjoy it because you're by yourself. Okay, because there's nobody to share it with. You invest it. You invest it. You invest it, and you reap the benefits of it. Okay. Okay. Here's the next thing. When she said, verse 2. She said, I don't have anything but a pot of oil. God said, I've already given you everything you need. Okay? When God called Moses, he said, set my people free. I've heard their cry. I want you to go set them free. And Moses said, they won't listen to me. God said, what do you have in your hand? He said, a rod. He said, cast it on the ground. He threw it on the ground. What happened to it, Tammy? What happened to Moses' rod? Do you know? You know what happened to the rod? It turned into a snake. Exactly right. Okay? And so then God said, pick it up. And Moses said, did you say pick it up? So it's a snake. It's 6 foot long. You want me to pick that thing up? He picked it up and it became a rod again. Okay? Here's the next thing. God has already given you everything you need. Okay? Whatever he calls you to do, you have the faculty, the facilities, the pot of oil that you need, the rod that is in your hand, whatever it is. God has given you everything you need to make it through life. Okay? And to invest in other people and rejoice in the fact that your vessel is always going to be full. Okay? When the children of Israel argued at one point during Moses' life, they argued and said, we're supposed to be, a couple men stood forward and said, we're supposed to be leaders, not just you and Aaron. Moses had the leader of each of the 12 tribes of Israel that each one of them carried a staff or a walking stick. These are all shepherds, He said, he could bring their staff up. They put them all in the ark, and they laid them in there, shut the lid, stood guard over it overnight. The next morning they came back, they lifted the lid on that thing and they pulled them out because every man's rod was different, so you wouldn't get mixed up. Aaron's rod had already budded, okay, like an olive branch that budded down in there in that bucket in that box during the night in the ark of the covenant. So and he said, I've already given you what you need, it's specifically for you, okay? It's not for anybody else. Okay. God can use what you have more than what you realize He can use. And if you hold it to yourself, God can't use it. That means don't discount what you have. Don't think it's nothing. Okay. Alan may think sometimes that him just picking up kids doesn't mean anything. Maybe changing this kid's life. Right? Right, Jacob? Okay? I just picked up a couple kids. It means the world to some of these kids. Right? It could change their eternity if they get saved in church because you picked them up on faith. You think that's not a big deal. Okay? Or if you're out there directing traffic and you think that's all I do at the church is direct traffic, whatever your job is. You pick up money during the offering, you work the nursery once a month, whatever it is your job is. If you're back there working the nursery, then other people can hear the gospel who might not hear the gospel if they have to hold a baby. Or if the person beside them is going, goo, 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 whatever, they'll be distracted by the person sitting beside them looking at the baby. Okay? So every job you have is big. So don't discount or discard what they have. Just like when the disciples, when there's 5,000 people gathered, 5,000 men gathered, besides women and children, and Jesus said, feed them. And the disciples said, we don't have anything. We've got 2 loaves and 5 fishes. Some little boy brought his lunch. Well, what is that among so many? And Jesus said, make the men sit down. I'll bless them and use what you got. Okay? And fed everybody. Okay. God has a plan. Here's the last thing. What'd she do when she got there? Well, she sold it, right? Okay? What'd she do with the money? Paid it back. Okay? And here's the last thing. And I don't know why this stands out to me. I guess because I know a lot of Christians struggle with their finances. Pay your debts. If you owe money, before you invest or keep money for yourself, pay your debt. Okay? I don't work for a bank, but I sell to about 30 banks, so I'm in banks almost every day of my life, Monday through Friday. And there's a lady I met with last week. She's been working in the bank for 40 years, and she said it's amazing to her how many people walk in and think they owe that car payment or that house payment. She said, but they've told her, I got to pay my bills. She said, that's a bill. You borrowed the money. Okay? There's commercials on the radio now saying, don't let the credit card companies take advantage of you. You borrowed the money. You don't have to pay it back. You borrowed the money. You signed a contract on that credit card promising them you'd pay them back. You borrowed whatever the card is, Pennies, Lowe's, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or American Access, they call it sometimes. Hey, whatever. Hey, you owe the debt. There's been a lot of Christians that I personally have known that owe people money, and people won't. They don't pay their debts. There's two different businesses. One of them now out of business. There's two businesses in the Sissonville area that said that they would not do any business on credit with Christians because most of them think somebody owes them something. Okay, one guy said the preacher came in and brought his car to me and said, "Fix this and I'll pay you Tuesday." He said, that car's been sitting behind my shop for 2 years. He said, I can fix it in an hour. But I'm not going to. I told that preacher, because as soon as I told the guy I was a preacher, he said that he gave me that story. And he said, I told that preacher, you pay this, I will fix your car. Well, I will not fix it first. Okay? And he said, why? Because you're a preacher. Really? Yeah. He said, because you're a preacher. Now, when I saw the guy, I said, man, I'll pay you up front. No, man, what do you want me to do? Christians, a lot of Christians have a bad testimony of saying, I'm not paying. Okay? The bank will forgive the debt, right? The credit card company will write it off. They got lots of money, they'll write it off. You sign the contract, doesn't matter. Right? Right? Did you put shutters on a house or something like that? Tell me so the woman had you come put shutters on the house and then told you later she didn't even own the house? Yeah. It didn't cost her anything. Yeah, it cost you something. Time, money, the investment of the metal, whatever it is that you put on the house. Well, we got by with that. Okay? Okay. Pay your debts. Okay? Okay, let's go back and review the story. Was it legal for that guy to take the widow's two sons? It was. Was it right? Yeah. Okay. Did God already have a plan? Yeah, he did. Did she already have everything she needed? Yeah. All she had to do was ask the preacher what to do. Next question. Did she follow through? Yeah. Follow through with everything you've been taught. Okay? Let's pray. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for loving us. Help us be the Christians we ought to be. I pray to you. Help each one of us to grow in Christ, to be the vessels that pours out into other people, knowing that you'll fill us again. And you never run out. And we never run out if we keep pouring ourselves out into other people. Thank you for the blessings of knowing this tonight. And we need this tonight. I pray that you'll bless our church family. And all we do, we want to bring honor and glory to you. Bless our time together. Bless the food that you prepare for us that's in the back. Bless our church family. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Okay, you can be dismissed. I think there's hot dogs back there. Is that right? So anybody wants a hot dog, drink to the back here in the back. Okay? We had hot dogs for the race, and there was chili and slaw left over, so we went and picked up more hot dogs, and we got ketchup, mustard, chili and slaw, all the good stuff goes with it. Thanks for coming out tonight. You boys did good in class. Thanks for coming to class.